Alright guys, now for question 28. Without graphing, find the vertex of the axis and the axis of symmetry for these two quadratic functions. So that's the first one. This is the second one. Let's first work with the first one. So we have to find the vertex. To find the vertex, if we go to, the formula chart, if you notice, here it says the axis is symmetry and x is equal to negative b over 2a. Now that's the first part of your vertex as well. So we're going to use that formula, negative b over 2a, to find the vertex. So x is equal to negative b over 2a. Now here, your a is the number in front of the x squared, which is 1, because there's a 1 there. My b is negative 2, and my c is negative 3. We are going to substitute the numbers in. This minus sign is already there, so I'm going to put minus. Now my b is negative 2, so we need to put the negative 2. Don't forget to put that extra negative. Some people forget that. Over 2a. So 2 times a, it's 1. Now we have two negatives in a row, and what happens here is they become a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. So it ends up being 2 over 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that's the first part of my vertex. My first part is 1. Because that's your vertex is a point, so that's your x, and now we're trying to find the y, so we found the x. Once you find the x, to find the y, you plug it into the original equation. So we're going to plug in a 1 for the x in those two spots. So I am going to have, okay, let me go ahead and write it, x squared minus 2x minus 3. We're going to plug in a 1 so that we could find the f of x. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So we're going to plug in a 1. 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 2. And then put the minus 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 3 is negative 4. So that's my y value. My f of x, which is y, equals negative 4. So I'm going to put negative 4 there. And that's your vertex. 1, negative 4. It's a point. Remember, the vertex is your maximum or your minimum. Now, to find the axis of symmetry, if we go back to the formula chart, my axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a, which is only the first part of the vertex. Since we already found what the vertex was, we used negative b over 2a. It's the first part, so my axis of symmetry is x equals 1, the first part of your vertex. That's your axis of symmetry, where it cuts it in half. Alright, so then now, we're going to find the vertex when it's given to you in this form. This form is a lot different than the form we just did. This form is called vertex form. So, here's my vertex form. You have an h and a k. Your h and your k are your vertex. So my h is right here, my k is right here. Your h is actually, if you notice on the formula, the formula is x minus h. So the h is actually is going to be just the number. And so that you don't get confused, basically you just get the opposite sign. So here it's negative 7, so we would get positive 7 would be your h. And your k is just this part at the end, which is negative 32. So that would be your vertex, x, y, 7 and negative 32. And your axis of symmetry is always the first. So that's x. So x equals 7. That would be your axis of symmetry. Let's go ahead and do 2 more examples. Okay. Once again, this is standard form. So my a is the first one in front of the x squared. My a is 6. My b is negative 11. My c is 3. And we're trying to find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So let's go ahead and to find the axis of symmetry, we use x equals negative b over 2a. The negative's already there, so we're going to be plugging in the b, which is negative 11, over 2a. My 2's there, and my a is 6. This ends up being a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's positive 11. And 2 times 6 is 12. So I just found my x, but also my axis of symmetry. So if I wanted to, I could already put my answer for my axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry is x equals 11 over 12. And it's alright if it's fractions, don't get scared. And my first part of my vertex is 11 over 12. Now we just need to find the y. So to find the y, we're going to do the same thing we did in the other one. We're going to substitute this into your x, because this is your x value. So we're plugging it into the x. And we're going to use a calculator for this. But first, let's go ahead and plug it in. So it's 6 x squared. So we're plugging in 11 over 12 squared minus 11. My x is 11 over 12 plus 3. So we're going to put this in the calculator and see what it gives us. Okay. Alright, so I'm trying to take off the glare. So I plugged in this part in the calculator. You can't really see it, but let me go up here. 6, 11 over 12 squared minus 11 times 11 over 12 plus 3. And when we press enter, we get a decimal. So to change it to fraction, we can click math. And then it's the first one, enter, enter to change it to fraction. So it's negative 49 over 24. That would be your y value. This ended up being negative 49 over 24. And that's your vertex for this y value, negative 49 over 24. And there's your vertex. Yes, it's an ugly fraction, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be a whole number all the time. Alright, let's go ahead and do the next one. This one is not written in standard form. This is written in vertex form. So my vertex is just the h and the k. H and the k. But just don't forget to change the sign. So here I have 6 and the negative 3. This one you have to change the sign because actually the formula is x minus and then the number is negative 6. So it will end up being negative 6, the opposite of the plus. And bring this down. That one does not change. And that's your vertex. Now your axis of symmetry is your x value, so it's just that one, x equals -6. All right, let's go ahead and do another one. Once again, finding the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Let's find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is x equals -b over 2a. My a is 1, the number in front of the x squared. My b is -2, and my c is 3. So I'm going to plug it into this equation. We have negative and then the b over 2 and then the a. My b is -2, so we're going to put in -2 there. And my a is 1. So here I have a negative and a negative. That becomes a positive 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I found my first part of the vertex, but not only that, I also found my axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry is x equals 1, because that's your x value. Now to find the y, we're going to plug in the 1 into the x. So we're plugging in 1 here and here as well. So we're going to do 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 3. So all I did was plug in the first part of the vertex, the x here, to find the y. So we put this in the calculator, or you can just do it by hand. 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. -2 times 1 is -2, and then plus 3. 1 minus 2 is -1 plus 3, which ends up being positive 2. Alright, now the next one. The next one, they gave it to you in vertex form. So remember, we get the opposite sign. That's -4. The opposite would be +4. And then this does not change, so it would be +8. That's your vertex. Your axis of symmetry is the first one at the beginning. X equals 4. And that's it. When they give it to you in vertex form, finding the vertex is very easy. And the axis of symmetry. But whenever they give it to you in standard form, then that's when you need to do -b over 2a. And in case you forget, remember, it's always in the formula chart. It's the very last one. Axis of symmetry, -b over 2a.